Hey guys, welcome to this installment of Mike's Vehicle Vlogs. Thank you so much for joining me today. Don't mind this weird camera angle for the moment. I'm just hooking up this rented scan tool. Not a scan tool, like a code reader. It really doesn't do a whole lot. But before I take it back to AutoZone, it's a nice day, and I figured maybe we can try to look into this rich code that the Aztek is throwing. Maybe look into it a little more, see if maybe we could find a possible solution to the issue. So we're going to go ahead and just use this for one last time. Okay, that's better. So we're linking up. Yeah, so for the last couple vlogs, we've kind of been trying to do things with the, I guess, electrical side of the tech, codes and such. So the Aztek, stupid compressor. The Aztek, I rented this code reader because, we have ABS codes, and I wanted to try to pinpoint the ABS codes, and I think I might have. We did find an issue on the front right passenger side as far as the wiring connector and the hub assembly itself, where the connector plugs into the hub. We got some corrosion, so I cut off a wiring harness from another Aztek for that connector. It's not on yet. Obviously, I'm not going to do anything with that until we replace the hub, and I'm not replacing the hub right away. But I think that that's where our issue is from. I believe the code was for a right front speed sensor circuit malfunction or something. That green corrosion is probably going to cause that kind of, malfunction. Also, while we have the code reader, we have a P0172, which is stored in the OBD2 system, OBD2, and that's a rich condition on bank 1. So in this vlog, I figure we can maybe try to look into this a little more and see if maybe we can try to pinpoint maybe where this is coming from. What I really need for this is a scan tool, a full-on scan tool that'll let me look at different kind of data PIDs, that'll let me maybe do some bi-directional controls on some of the things that might be associated with this system. I don't have that, unfortunately. If I was still in school at the time, I could bring one home and maybe use that, but this little code reader from AutoZone, it does give us some data information that maybe we can try to interpret, and there's a few things under the hood that I'm actually going to look at too. I was on the phone with one of my instructors this morning, who happens to be a GM genius. He's been a GM master tech, since the late 90s, early 2000s or something. So he's familiar with how these engines are and such, and he kind of gave me some things on what I can look for at home to kind of start us off, that might either point us in a direction or it may not. There's a very broad horizon when it comes to trying to diagnose a P0172, So what I'm going to do now, and then, we'll get into the specifics on this stuff a little bit later, but what I'm going to do now is this is the first time the Aztek has been started today. What I'm going to do is take it to, for a drive. I'm going to let it get warmed up. It is about 60-some degrees, 62 right now. You can see our engine coolant is already starting to kind of climb up a little bit. But I'm going to take it out. I'm going to drive it. I'm going to pull up these, the data on this little tiny code reader, the data that we can see. And I want it to get to full operating temperature. I want the fuel system to be in closed loop, because that is when the code set, was when it's in closed loop. And then we'll go into some further specifics as far as what I'm going to look for under the hood and, go from there, I guess. Hi, can I get a large chocolate shake with no whipped cream, please? And that's all. Alright guys, so we're home now. We got it all warmed up. You know, we took it for a shake. I've been letting it sit here for a little bit, kind of looking at some of this data stuff. So, you know, again, we're in closed loop. The engine load, just sitting at idle, is like 2%. Engine coolant, we've been sitting here with it running for a little bit, so it's up to 216. Looks like the gauge is moving down, so the fans might have kicked on. So it'll probably be dropping. So our short-term fuel trim bounces around quite a bit, you know, in the between the positive and negative figures. This one here, our long term, is reading really rich, you know, negative 23.4. Our map sensor, I actually just got off the phone with one of my instructors, and I told him about this map sensor reading, and he says that this is low. It should be higher, you know, about 18 or so. We are reading at 10 when, of course, we apply a little bit of throttle to it. 9, 10, 9, 8. So, yeah, we may have a leak around the map sensor area. So that's honestly going to be my first place to check when we get out of here. This down button on this thing does not work. Okay, mass airflow. Pounds per minute, I'm not exactly sure. You know, I don't know how to read the map sensor. This type of scale, I guess, isn't very common. I don't know why this scan tool is giving you pounds per minute. Throttle position sensors at 0, obviously. The O2s are working. So the catalytic converter is doing its job. And that's pretty much it. Couldn't get any closer than that when I moved the when I moved the Fusion over this morning. Woohoo! All right. So this map sensor, that would be this thing. You may be wondering, why aren't there screws on that? Because there's supposed to be 2 screws going through there. Well, I have the screws still. They're extremely rusted, and I never put them back on because I was afraid they were going to break. So maybe that could have something to do with this. Who knows? Let's see. So there's that little vacuum line right there. That's the little vacuum line that goes to the bottom of this map sensor. Now that line could have a crack in it at the T where it's connected. So that could be part of the problem. This little vacuum here, this is for the fuel pressure regulator. That goes into this map sensor, if I'm not mistaken. If the fuel pressure regulator was our issue, and you know, it could be this, basically this pulls a vacuum on this fuel pressure regulator in here. It pulls on a diaphragm and basically regulates how much fuel pressure is being sent through the fuel system. And if it's a bad fuel pressure regulator, then you'll have gas either leaking outside of this thing, or you'll have gas leaking into this vacuum. So that could be the case. We could find out. So basically, if we take this off, and it looks dry, shouldn't be smelling gas either on that line. We're gonna probably take that whole that map sensor off anyway here. I might need a screwdriver. So basically, like I said, there's 2 screws usually. You could probably pull it up off that, but there's also a little green wiring harness right there. It is indeed a very small wiring harness. There's not much slack on that wiring harness. I remember that when I had this all apart. So let me tuck that in there somehow. There we go. So I'm probably gonna need a screwdriver. Ow, that's hot. It is hot. Yeah, push it off. There we go. Ow. The very top of the engine's very hot. Alright, there we go. So let's take a look at this thing here. Now this is the only thing I really didn't replace when I did all the other vacuum lines and such. It does have a little bit of a gasoline smell to it. That might be normal. I don't know. I'll have to double check. But there's no gas physically pouring out of that regulator. Of course, the engine's not on either, but it probably won't pull a vacuum if this isn't on it. I'm not really seeing. Okay, I'm not really seeing any cracks or anything on this piece here. Unless this is, this could be reading funny. It might not be reading correctly. So electronically, we could have the issue. Maybe it's not a real vacuum issue. Unless this thing here, this is a pretty solid piece here. It's pretty solid plastic. It doesn't bend too easily. Because back when we finished up doing the rebuild on this car, the intake gaskets and such, head gaskets, I replaced this. Even this looks like it's getting kind of cruddy. We replaced this. We replaced this one that goes to the back, the crankcase breather. I can't remember off the top of my head if we did this one or not, and I want to say no. Alright, so I've hooked it back up for now. Got it plugged in, as you can see. Got the hose plugged in. I checked the hose to see if there were any leaks coming from it, so I put my mouth on the one end, plugged up all of the other holes on it, and, blew into it, and kind of held pressure on it for a little bit, and nothing seeped out, didn't hear any hissing. I don't know, so I took some of this and just lightly sprayed into the vacuum, on that side, just a couple of light spritzes here and there. Let's start it up and just see what happens. Here we go. All right. 7, 9, 10. And still 11. See, after it's warmed up, you can kind of tell it's running rougher than it used to. I don't know. Yeah, see, there's no fuel coming out of that, so I don't think our regulator is bad. Alright, so my only other thought was possibly maybe a sticking EGR valve. The only problem with that is I need a scan tool to control that. And I don't have a scan tool, obviously, to do that. So, the EGR valve is something we're going to save for another day. However, in a last ditch effort to maybe try and correct this today, I did notice that the map sensor, you know, when I was taking the car apart, the map sensor didn't have any kind of clamp on it where it connects to the manifold. And I kind of wonder if maybe that could be the reason why there's loss of vacuum. Because I was under there again, I gave it a couple of throttle snaps while I was there, and I heard a rush of air coming from that direction. And I just kind of wonder if maybe because there's no clamp on that, if the air is obviously escaping and not doing what it should be doing. So we're gonna go to the parts store real quick, and I need a very small clamp, like a worm drive clamp or something, if I can get them that small. Alright, so we're back home. The sun is out. It's raining, but the sun is out, and yet it's raining. Anyway, so yeah, I didn't know if maybe air could have possibly, if I can get my camera wedged in there, if it's sucking in through there. Now there's a barb on that adapter there, but I'm pretty sure there was some kind of clamp there, or there was supposed to be, and this one didn't have it. So we got these little things here. This, I'm hoping, should be, this is the smallest one I can get. That should be enough to get through to that. So let me take all that, or pull that off and get this on there, and we'll clamp it down and see if that makes a difference. Alright, that's pretty snug. Let's see if it makes a difference. Turn this down. Reconnect this. Maybe not. I definitely hear something. I don't know if that's normal or not. Maybe, I don't know if it's coming from this. Shouldn't be. We're on the bottom, right? Yeah. It's on at the bottom. Alright, so I pulled it back out. We're going to use this. And I'm only using this. I'm not using any other electronic cleaner or anything. The mass airflow sensor itself is a very delicate sensor. This in here is probably also a very delicate sensor. Alright, last time. Got it all buttoned down. I didn't tighten this little hose clamp as tight as I did earlier. I didn't realize it was that snug. But it's in there. I got the screws. Maybe I'll try to get them in there, but Alright. Last attempt. Let's see what happens. Is it going to be better? Is it going to be worse? Is it going to be the same? We might not even notice. Like I said, I don't have the tool. I did reset the light, so the light probably won't be on. I don't hope it won't be on. Oh yeah, we got the big dog today. We are using the GM Tech 2. I was able to get my hands on a GM Tech 2. Now, if you're not familiar with scan tools and whatnot, this is the official GM Tech 2. This is what they've used in GM dealerships all over. So these scan tools are particularly designed to work with any GM product, basically, running OBD2. And this will be suitable for this 01 Aztek. So with this, we should be able to see everything that we need to see as far as, the data and stuff. A lot more than that little AutoZone thing that I rented. So yeah, we're going to hook this up and we're going to get it logged in and stuff like that and see if we see anything different. Particularly today, other than physically trying to test the map sensor, if we can, because where it's at, the wiring is hard to get to, and I'm hoping I'll be able to get in there to see where our voltages are. If the Tech 2 doesn't tell us what the voltage is, I might still try it anyway. We'll see. But particularly, I want to be able to see if I can command the EGR valve with this. I should be able to. There should be special functions on here for the EGR. There's a chance that our EGR valve could be stuck, and with all the crap that was in this engine over the years, it was in really bad shape when I bought this car. So the EGR valve could be stuck. It could not be working. That can cause a rich condition, if it's stuck. It is a pain to get to on this particular car. Because the bolts are rusted and they're on the back side of the valve, which sits close to the firewall. So even if the EGR valve is bad, I honestly don't know how we're going to get it off, to be quite honest with you. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So I do want to check for that. I also want to look at the misfire counts to see if any cylinders in particular are misfiring. Or not burning, enough fuel. We don't have any misfire codes. The service engine light is not blinking, so we don't have any severe misfires, but you can tell when it shakes, it's probably missing here and there, and I just want to see if we can figure out what cylinders maybe are missing, and from there, we can maybe try to go for coil packs. I did replace these coil packs with slightly used coil packs, because coil packs for all three, you got to replace them all at once, and it's about $100 for all three of them, which really isn't bad, but at the time, I didn't have the $100. So, when I bought these ones, I looked them over, they all seemed to be fine, and when I put them into this car ran like butter. It was so smooth. But that was quite a while ago. That was well over a year ago that we put those in, and now it's just starting to get a little tired, if you know what I mean. So, the coil packs could possibly be finally giving out. We'll try to test them also. We'll physically look to see if there are any cracks or anything on them. Those are common issues. If there's a crack in that coil pack, it doesn't hold the energy and they get weak. So that could be one of our issues there. We could also have some maybe fouled up fuel injectors. Now, unfortunately for this car, fuel injectors are buried under the plenum, so we can't really see or get to or test them. But I might be able to try to get a little apparatus and maybe poke the injectors carefully to see if, maybe something's sticking. We can maybe unstick them, I don't know, and see if it makes a difference if we can get to them. But So that's always a possibility there. Other things that I'd like to test that I can't necessarily test today, fuel pressure. I don't know if the Tech 2 will give us fuel pressure. I don't know if there's a way for it to do that. What we really need is an actual fuel pressure gauge that we can attach to the end of the fuel rail on the engine, but I don't have one. Because, you know, maybe our fuel pump is getting weak and it's not delivering enough fuel. This could be the original fuel pump, for all I know. It most likely is, I'm going to assume. So it could be getting tired. But I don't know. That's kind of where I'm standing with this right now. And I'm sure, you know, before the video is over, maybe we'll think of something else. Maybe we'll find the issue. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't really know. So, Tech hasn't been started today. We're going to start it up. I'm going to hook the Tech 2 up. And we will get it warmed up. We'll get the engine in closed loop. You know, and then we'll see where our fuel trims are today. Just sitting here once it's warm, and I guess we'll just go from there. One thing I do want to mention is I did delete the codes not yesterday, the day I took the scan tool back, the other one. So our light is not going to be on now. It wasn't when I parked the car, but it was still running rough. So there's that air compressor. So anyway, you know, the light's not going to be on at this time. See? It may come on by the time, you know, we keep this running. I don't know. Alright, so this screen might be a little hard to read. Hopefully not. So we'll just do this. This says an 01. This would be, I'm going to assume, yeah, these aren't like your conventional scan tools, you know, they're very specific. I'm going to say this maybe fall under MPV. And there it is. That should be it right there. This does not have an air pump, and this does not have all-wheel drive. We'll see if we have any pending codes. There might be some pending information. I'm assuming it's probably pending. Oh, there we go. So engine misfire detected at some point, and engine oil pressure circuit. Okay, so no. So right now we don't have any of those rich codes. But we do have that engine misfire, so it doesn't know what cylinder. That's why I wanted to look at these counts to see. And again, I have this thing. It's in the glove box. We have to get the socket to put it back on. So if we exit this, we'll check this. We'll look at this here. So the misfire happens. Looks like at idle. Engine coolant was at 194. Map sensor was reading at 37 kPa. The mass airflow sensor looks good. Like I said, that's at idle, and 4 grams per second is, you know, what we're supposed to be seeing roughly. It is saying the air-fuel ratio is 14.7 to 1. That is perfect fuel ratio, ironically enough. The vehicle was in closed loop. The long-term fuel trim at that time was only at negative 12%. So not as low as it was originally. Yeah, she's running kind of rough right now, even just being cold. Alright, so we'll leave that. So now, we're still kind of cold right now, but I'll go ahead and bring this up anyway. We do specifically have trim data. Let's see where this is sitting at right now. Oh, okay, so it is in closed loop. We're not at temperature yet, but looks like the fuel status is in closed loop. Right now our long term is sitting at negative 21. That is pretty rich. Trim learn disabled. The O2 sensors look like they are working. I'm not really sure what the perfect O2 reading should be. And it is common for the first O2 to change rapidly like this, obviously, because it is seeing the exhaust and such before this one, sensor 2. Injector pulse width modulation, 3.3-ish milliseconds, I'm assuming. The evap solenoid is venting. The purge solenoid is at 15%, 16%. It is climbing, it looks like. Nope, yeah, it's climbing. There's our engine speed. We are at 143 degrees. Okay, the mass airflow sensor is coming in at about 6 grams per second. Engine load is at 25%. Does that seem like a lot sitting here at 700-800 RPMs? Throttle position sensor is at 0, obviously. The map sensor is reading at 35 kPAs. I'm not 100% familiar with kPAs. I'm going to have to look something up to translate that. The other code reader that we had was also displaying a different type of scale. It is saying this air-fuel ratio is 14.7 to 1. Ignition voltage, current gear. Okay, and then we go back to our fuel trims. All right. So now I want to see these misfires. I want to see where we're looking at. So 1 through 6 is there. Fire current, so I get histories real quick. Oh, cylinder 3. Cylinder 3 had a few. They go away pretty quick. I don't know why, but cylinder 3 had 4 of them. Let's see. Oh, history. Okay, so wow. So cylinder 3 had 98 misfires in this ignition cycle. Cylinder 3, huh? Yeah, see, cylinder 3 is still counting as we speak. 6, 8. $16. It looks like 3 is the only one, so what I might do, honestly, is go after cylinder, or I might do the coil packs first. At least that particular one, I'll take a look at it and see if we see any damage on it that could be contributing. What else? It's one of the easier things to do. It doesn't take too long to actually pull them coil packs off. Yeah, so far 130 misfires on that cylinder just sitting here in this ignition cycle. Alright, so I'm going to assume, as far as the fuel injectors go, I'm going to say number 3. I'm going to say that injector is not completely bad because we are still getting the spark. There's a chance that maybe it's fouled up a little bit, and that's why we're getting the occasional misfire. But like I said, I am going to check the coil pack, which I think it's the last one right here. So we'll pull that off here in a little bit. There's our EGR right there. I don't know if this is really going to make a difference if the car's not running or not. but I wanted to see if it's saying that the PCM wants it at 0%, but the position is at 80.4 volts. EGR's at 0%. Okay, I'm just thinking out loud. Our service engine light is still off. See what happens with this. Oh. 20%. 30%. I think our valve is working. 40%. 50%. 60%. 70%. 80%. 90%. 100% open. Cylinder kill, maybe? Yeah, power balance. See if we notice any change while it's doing this. Waiting for engine speed to stabilize. Alright, so it's going to get up to a certain speed. We'll go ahead and alright, we'll disable cylinder 1. Alright, so that injector's working fine. Let's go to cylinder 2. Huh. Well, that's weird. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I gotta move it at the top, don't I? Hold on. How do you get to the... Oh, select injector. Okay, my bad. Okay. Now let's do cylinder 2. And it's running crappy, so that's that one. So cylinder 2 injector is working. Cylinder 3 disable. Alright, cylinder 3 is working. Let's do cylinder 4. Okay, that one's working. Let's do cylinder 5. That one's working. And we'll do cylinder 6. Alright. I guess that's it. And I know some of them seem to bog down a little more than others. So we'll go ahead and exit out of this test. Okay. So far, from what I can gather, just by doing that fuel injector test, all 6 injectors seem to be working, because as we were disabling them one at a time, we were noticing a change in how the engine was running. Very interesting. Alright, so I'm going to go downstairs real quick, grab the tools that I need, and we're going to pull that coil off. Like I said, I want to start there, since we pretty much narrowed it down to cylinder 3. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take another one of those. We're going to swap them out. And I'm going to see if that misfire follows. So we're going to take this one. 5 and 2. We're going to put it over here in the middle. You can see the prongs. Come on. There we go. Okay. And then I've put number 6, which is what's supposed to be there. Put that back on here for a second. And we'll put that here on that end. And this is number 3. get it off with one hand apparently. We'll put that there. That's where it should be. So then we'll put this one on. This is number 2. And the one that's missing should be number 5 now. So we'll put this on there, we'll bolt these down. We'll hook our Tech 2 back up and we'll see if our misfire switches from cylinder 3 to cylinder 5. And then that'll prove my point on that aspect right there. Alright, so here we go. So this cylinder here, number 5, that should be where our misfire is. That's still on. Let's go ahead and start it up. Is it still 3? That might be old data. It's not going up any. Interesting. No, it's still 3. Ah, well played. Alright, so cylinder 3 is still missing. And not because of the coil. How big of a difference does it make? Alright. So we're going to cut off 3. Doesn't make that big of a difference. It does make a difference, but not as big. So something I noticed while I was standing here, this side towards air cleaner, and there's an arrow pointing this way. Is it a possibility that this mass airflow sensor could possibly be put on backwards? And if so, how would that have happened? Because I didn't take it off. I didn't take it off of this when I put it back together. I left it on the cover to the air cleaner. I disconnected this from here, left that there. So that has probably been on backwards this whole time. So we're going to remove this. And I don't know. See if it makes a difference, I guess. I had to take off the whole thing. which is looking like it probably could be replaced. They're hard to get on and off on this car. While we're at it real quick, we might as well check the condition of this air filter. Not bad. So there's nothing restricting any airflow or anything. Some dirt coming out of it. Yeah, there's nothing in there. Alright. So, since this is out, we might as well clean it again, especially since it was facing the wrong way. This is the intake side. See the arrow? This has to come off and go back on that. But yeah, so man, that's very interesting. Okay. That could have picked up. Oh man, I cannot believe that. Alright, I'll let that sit there for a second and we'll get ready to put all this mess back together. Alright, all of the coils are back where they should be. I hate these spark plug wires. I wish I didn't buy these ones. They're extremely long. This is now on the way that it should be. I don't really think that's going to cure a problem. It might. Doubt it. Well, let's go ahead and start it up. Tech 2 still on. Surgeon. Smoothing out. Probably because of the mass airflow sensor. Maybe being switched around made a difference. It is reading at 4. And loads at 16%. Closed loop. It is learning new fuel trims. We are over. Wow. So we're actually running lean now. So it's still learning. So the fuel trims look like they are adjusting. Running shaky, go figure. You can probably see the camera shaking. So right now they're trying to find a balance. It's starting to smooth out a little bit. Alright, so we're still sitting here at idle. Our fuel trim went down to -4, oh, -5. That's still not too bad. -4. We are still in learn mode. It's still learning it. I can already start to feel the raindrops coming. In a way, it almost looks like it's running a little bit better, but I'm not exactly sure what else would cause that misfire. I don't think, see, here's the fuel rail. Those injectors aren't that easy to get to. And the third one obviously is right there. Alright, so we've been running this thing for a little while now. Our fuel long-term trim is still adjusting. It's still missing a little bit. We're going to go out. I'm going to just give this thing a drive. I'm going to try to maybe find a few spots where I can maybe hammer on it. There could be a chance that that third cylinder spark plug could be fouled because of how rich this thing was running for so long. That could be the case. So maybe, you know, this seems to be correcting fairly decent. Actually excellent compared to the way it was. So we're going to take it out, maybe give it some good throttle, you know, acceleration here and there, and we'll just see if maybe that clears anything up. So far, our service engine light isn't on yet, but, you know, we'll see. So let's go. That was probably the highest I had ever had the engine revved on this thing. That was honestly a little nerve-wracking, but it sounded good. It sounded good from outside. The weather, you see the storm. I think the storm's coming in. They were calling for some severe storms later. I have no idea what our weather's looking like right now because I haven't been in the house in quite a while. Heck, my hands are still filthy. I didn't even wash my hands yet. I think the transmission's relearning too, because I noticed since we've swapped that sensor around, it's kind of lagging shifts a little bit, so it almost like it needs to relearn all the load calculations and such. That's nice. Jump on the highway real quick. Since I don't have a fourth gear, it stays at high RPM anyway, so we'll give it some beans as we merge. So as we've been on the road, I've been looking at the misfire counters periodically. And I haven't seen any current ones. They've all been at zeros while the car is under load. I see some history ones, but I have a feeling those are maybe coming off of deceleration and all these hard passes possibly, which I do believe is probably normal because everything's trying to, you know, compensate for the deceleration of the engine. But I haven't seen anything showing up. They've all been zeros. As far as current counts. Alright, so we just pulled back up to the house. Yeah, transmission is feeling different. It's shifting really hard in between gears after a while, but it was also shifting really soft, like lagging almost at first, so I think maybe there's a relearn process in there, so I was checking that out. Let's check our fuel trim data real quick. Actually, no, let's check our misfire. Yeah, so 3 is still missing. I'm going to guess at this point that that spark plug could possibly be fouled. There could be something wrong with that spark plug wire, or we do have a fuel injector that is maybe on its way out. Especially when we did our fuel injector test and we cut off number 3. Number 3 really didn't seem like it made that much a difference. I mean, it made a difference, but not as much as the other ones. So there's a chance that we probably have a fuel injector that is going to need replaced. As far as fuel trim, it's still learning. I guess it's going to be in fuel trim learn for a while. -4. That's pretty good. I'm happy with it. I'm gonna say that we fixed it. That stupid mass airflow sensor being in backwards. I mean, that probably skewed all of the data over time. You know, engine load and such for the transmission. So there's probably a lot that has to be relearned over time. But I'll take it. This little negative fuel trim is probably because of the misfires that are, you know, taking place. I don't know if we're going to have our... Oh, there's a third code. Oops. Maximum adapt and long shift. Failed. Okay, so that's one of our transmission codes there. I'm going to delete all of these codes anyway. We're going to clear them. And then, you know, that way we'll give us some time if they come back. Our light didn't come back on yet, but I want to keep it from coming on. I'm going to have to probably shut this off. But yeah, overall, I'm going to say that we solved the issue with the mass airflow being backwards. And as far as number 3, I'll give it some time. I'm going to have this Tech 2 for a while in my possession, so you know, we'll give it some time. I'll drive this thing. I'll try to maybe beat the snot out of it a little bit here and there. So let's go ahead and hit yes. There we go. But yeah, I think overall we cured our rich condition. And as easy as it was, really, once we really looked at it, it's kind of bizarre. It's even more bizarre the fact that it's been on there like that for a while. And like I said, I have not taken that mass airflow sensor off of the air cleaner box. I left it all together when I had the engine apart, so I just threw it back on there and didn't even notice that it was backwards. So over time, I'm sure those skewed information readings from that sensor are going to have a toll, and eventually it did take a toll. So yeah, so I'm going to say we called our rich condition complete. We fixed it. As far as that number 3, like I said, I'll give it some time, and you know, maybe we'll just end up replacing an injector, maybe replace all the injectors while we're at it. I'm not gonna do it today because this video is already too long, but maybe we'll pull the spark plug, which is going to be fun to get to, being at the way back in the middle. But we'll get it. We'll take a look at it. It might be fouled over from it being rich so long. It is kind of strange that it's just that cylinder missing now. I'm just gonna maybe say it's an injector. So we'll see what happens. But guys, I guess that's it. I think we did figure out the issue. I'm kind of surprised, and I'm glad. That's really all I gotta say. So if you guys enjoyed this, if you thought it was interesting, you know, give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Also check out teespring.com/store/Mike's Vehicle Spotlight for all of your MVS and vlog merchandise. And that's it. Oh, as far as the map sensor, I don't know. I don't know if we're really gonna have to do anything with the map sensor. I might still look into that. I'm not gonna do it today. We'll just call it as it is for now. It is, you know, doing better from the looks of it. So yeah, we'll just leave it at that for now. So guys, that's it. I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching, and take care.